Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
How you doing? How you going? What a day! What a day! We just finished training, three long days of training, and welcome to Wine and Wisdom, Belinda. Belinda is this week our guest lady, so that we have something a bit more equal. We having now Belinda and Chris in the same team. It makes things very equal on the podcast, right?
It saved us getting cancelled.
We just have to apologize that Megan, due to work commitment and also, being a mother with two very young children, it's very difficult to do all of these things and read books and be prepared because there's an enormous amount of preparation. I mean, we spend about 6 days.
People think we do this for fun. I've spent at least the last 4 minutes reading.
So we thank you very much for the time that you served with us, Meg. We wish you all the best, and it's been fun, and we'll never forget your time with us. All right.
Let's have a moment for our fallen comrade. Righto, that's a moment. All right, let's rip straight in. Wines first, and then we can talk. I'm thirsty.
Okay, let's go. Start, Cam.
I have a Rockford Rodden Spur Shiraz Cab from 2017 from the Barossa Valley.
Yeah.
67% Shiraz and 33% Cab Sav, I'm told. And as I just explained to Belinda, even though it's 35 degrees up here today and a horrible day to drink red, you'll soon forego your values for not having to pay $60 in postage when you lose the bet here. So red it is today. Chriso?
Well, I've got a very familiar looking bottle. It's an Anaperenna Shiraz.
Oh, I know that bottle.
Can't do that.
Why?
It's what we drank last week, you goose.
No. What we drank last week was your bottle. This is my bottle.
Oh. He's already disqualified. You can't do that. I'm protesting. You can't have the same week. You can't have the same wine 2 weeks in a row. That is not.
He's on his game this week. Gab is on his game this week.
Mate, I'm sorry. I'm using the rules to my advantage.
You can't have the same wine at all, let alone 2 weeks in a row.
Where was that written in the rules?
Last week wasn't a competition. Have it every week then.
Last week wasn't a competition.
How do you look at yourself in the mirror, mate? It was hard enough.
It's good looking.
Come on.
Looking easy.
I don't know. Let's welcome our guest Belinda and see what she's drinking with us this week.
What are you drinking?
This will impress all the ladies. And knowing that it is 35 degrees, I think I've made a wonderful choice with my Brown Brothers Moscato. It's a little bit sweet with a little bit of fizz, just like me.
Oh, gee.
Used to be my wife's favourite, that.
Is it?
Now our favourite's the big dog.
Belinda, we can't bring lemonade, all right, to Wine and Wisdom. It's wine.
So what a horrible start.
Who's casting the vote? No, who's casting the vote?
We got someone drinking lolly water and someone drinking leftovers from last week. Have a go. TL, hopefully.
Next week. I wanted to bring in my vodka slushies next week.
I've got a special Kalleske wine. It's a Shiraz bottle. It's a very young bottle from just 2020. It's Barossa Valley wine. I did love the bottle. It's opening now, so maybe I'm drinking it too early, but we'll see. All right. It's a Barossa Valley. You normally can't go wrong, but usually you don't go.
We both got the Barossa. Although with Chris's, it's probably been sitting in his car all week, so we're good. Cheers.
Cheers, people, and welcome, Belinda. Let's see whether this is for you. But you might run out of the show before the show finishes, so it'd be nice knowing you.
Challenge accepted.
All right, let's go. All right, so what
I want to bail you up first, TL. I always enjoy doing it after a recruit course. You and Chris, I am Belinda, all three of you were in the course all week. The induction training for all our new recruits and some older recruits, Belinda.
Thanks, Cam.
No worries. I warned you before we started, all right?
Okay.
All bets are off. So how many we have this time, TL?
What is it? 7 people.
First one since COVID restrictions have been lifted, yes? So
Yeah.
we still had limitations on how many could attend.
Yeah.
How did you rate it? Out of 5 deep and meaningful speeches, how do you rate it, mate?
Probably 5.
We give it a 5. Give yourself a wrap. I should ask Chris, how did you rate it?
Yeah, I think that our leaders have become way more stringent in the quality of the recruits they put through. I think that the demand on the recruits, some of these recruits have been employed already, and so the decision is a little bit more serious when it comes to sending them to the course. But hey, listen, Belinda, who's been in real estate for how many years now?
20, but on and off.
Okay, so and you were in the course as a new recruit, so maybe we should ask you, what did you think of the course?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was lots of things there that I need to adapt and change how I was doing things. I was more sort of winging it. So for me to have a structure, being the have a chat that I am, it'll help keep me on track and more disciplined in my deliverance.
Right.
I always like asking people who've won. Well, it's very rare we get someone who's been in real estate 20 years before they do the course, but how you've been working for the coastal office now for a while. So how were expectations versus reality? What did you go into it thinking? Did anyone try and scare you like
to be
usually
honest,
happens?
I went in there thinking that Thomas was going to drill us. Everyone in the past has sort of been a bit nervous and a bit scared, and I was too. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I understood what he was saying. I saw my weaknesses. I know where I need to develop on my strengths even. So I really enjoyed that part. And I said, so I'm sorry, Thomas. Day 3 of training.
Who scared you? Who scared you? Name and shame, because this is a problem. Half the recruits, Thomas over his time would have seen half the recruits destroyed before they even got there because of the shit that have been.
No, but can I say, what CEO of any real estate brand handpicks and trains the recruits? So that in itself is a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Can I ask you?
Hold on, Chris. See, I told you, man, he's betting on the other side. She has not answered the question.
He hasn't answered the question.
Okay, yeah, listen, very good, very good.
From what I know about you, Belinda, and our brief interactions, although they've been very cordial, Chris is already sitting on that fence, all right? He's already got 5 fence palings fairly wedged. The first few didn't touch the sides, but now he's found his spot. The fence is already taken. You're gonna have to have an opinion. You're gonna have to risk pissing some people off. So.
No, Chris is going to move over and make room for me. I'm happy to sit there at Switzerland for a little bit. Thanks.
You've met Thomas and you've already trained with Thomas, and at no point has he drilled anybody. So where did the fear that he was going to give people a hard time come from?
I think it's more that they are young and he's the CEO, and so they're nervous. But once they've done the course, they all come out and they go,
where did your fear come from?
I didn't have fear.
You did. You said you went into it worried that Thomas was going to drill you. Your words, replay the video. Where did that come from? Because a lot of the guys that go to the course have never met Thomas, seen Thomas. You've been in the training sessions for the last few months, right?
Yes.
Haven't seen him drill anyone.
No.
So
he pushes me out of my comfort zone. He knows when, how can I say, like when we're doing a role play and I am talking too much, just that look or whichever, I know to stop, to think, to pause, get my head around it, like, good question, and then leave.
She's not going to answer the question to you.
No, I'm not. I'm sitting on the fence there with Chris for a little bit.
All right,
it's an important message, mate, because we're sending people down.
So do you think that fear came from an intrinsic thing? Was it self-built, or what Cam is getting? Was there external factors giving you that fear, or was it something internal just because he's the CEO? Because look, Cam and I know Thomas on a different level than a lot of people. So coming from the outside in, was it something that you generated, that fear generated artificially in your head, or was that ideas put in there by other people?
It was more that I was watching the young recruits come in who have never had real estate training, haven't worked under a CEO that was going to meet with them, train them. So I think that nervousness, they knew about role plays, getting a test at the end, knowing that if they failed, their job was in jeopardy.
But so I come back to what Cam said to you. I want to know for you, forget the other guys, for you. You thought you were going to go in and get...
So we know what happens, right? We know what happens. The same thing happened to me. Before the course, a bunch of people run to me and said, mate, you're going to be in the shit, mate. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Jesus, look out for Thomas. Don't fuck it up. You're going to lose your job. That was a good one. That's a good one you want to hear before you go down for your course and your new career in real estate. Don't fuck it up or you won't have a job. Now, you everything you've just said, I'm going to keep calling you out on it because everything you just said happened after you got to the course. You saw newbies at the course, but you said you were scared going down. As
in, if I fail in Thomas's eyes with everything I was doing or...
welcome to my world, mate. This is daily occurrence.
And I'm still struggling.
I have spoken to my partner about that. The money comes with all of that.
All right. She's not going to answer the question, but we all know what happened. So whoever's doing it, stop it. Now, the two guys that were there. So when did you get...
I just want to ask Belinda something else, mate. So you've been in real estate, you said over 20 years, off and on over 20 years. Okay. If you had this training when you first started real estate, would your career have been different?
Absolutely. And I actually said that this afternoon when you snuck off early to probably train for this. I said to Thomas, if I'd had this training and this, way of, moving forward and doing things and being as disciplined and structured early on, like in my 20s, and I looked at all the new recruits. I said, you'd be at my age, young 47 that I am, and you'd have a team. You wouldn't be door knocking. You wouldn't be prospecting like I have to. I'm still building. Although I've changed areas, but still, I'm still building.
Funny, I actually know your old boss, Belinda. I tried to sell him a house last week, but we've had many a discussion about differences in the way companies run. And hello, Robbie, how are you, mate? But he always raises an eyebrow or tilts his nose a little bit when we talk about the system we run because it's old way and that's not the way. You're not going to make money doing that. But he's a guy who's probably going to be listing and selling for the rest of his life because he won't follow the system. So,
he has a great system, I must say. I
spoke to him the other day, mate. He's still doing way too much work for a bloke who owns the office.
But he loves it. He thrives on that, and he has a wonderful team under him. And you know what? As a director, his choice is sales. He loves sales. That's all he focuses on. He doesn't worry about the admin, property management, nothing else, just sales.
So why hadn't you had the training though?
Because I don't work directly with him.
You work in the organisation.
I never work directly with Rob.
But you work in the organisation, yeah?
I was always support back then.
So no training for...
Or like what I'm doing as well. No, we trained like twice a week, but different.
He's on fire, okay? But you can tell who's been training and doing recruit training since 8 this morning and who's just woken up to get ready for Wine and Wisdom, right, Ken?
No, mate.
And see, this is my message. That's why you don't drink red, you drink Moscato.
No, the good thing that happened in the last 3 days is to see people who come in and with a lot of questions and self-doubt and all these things to them walking away knowing I can do this. I'm going to be a great success. And I think that to have that happening to them in 3 days, that's where the magic is how do you do that and give that, not just a kind of, I think, but as conviction Now, whether the conviction stays or whether it gets diluted or be bombarded by negativity and bad influences, that's a different thing. That you've got two legs, you can decide to get up and join a place where it's safe, right? But to see that change in 3 days, that's an amazing thing.
And to do it to the new recruits that are in their early 20s, to see that just in that 3 days is amazing.
I think it's more amazing. I think it's more amazing to be able to change the mindset or get that click in someone who's been doing it for 20 years.
Exactly what I was about to
say. Kids are more pliable. Kids have got, they're less conditioned. They've had less bad experiences. They haven't seen the shit side of real estate. So yes, huge changes, and yes, the first time they've probably believed in themselves. And from our point of view, we had a couple of guys go who've been working with us for about a month. So they've heard, they've seen, but still didn't fully believe. For them to come down and come out fully believe with the full belief is outstanding. But I think for someone like yourself, Belinda, who been there, done that, knows it all, or that's a bigger achievement, I feel.
Yeah, agree.
I feel like I understand what I need to do, but whether I and listen more. George and Rob tried that for years with me. So
we have special techniques.
Okay.
We can make it happen in less than $500. You see, it's a very special thing.
Shouting lunch, shouting red.
I've never seen it under 500. So I couldn't.
All right. Okay. So what was the subject for today?
Touchy. Why do 1 in 2 marriages, or almost 1 in 2 marriages, end in divorce? Following on from last week's conversation. I didn't get divorced.
So let's start. First of all, I've never divorced, so I don't know. And for anyone who's starting to join us on Wine and Wisdom, I just want to let you know, Wine and Wisdom is a place where we just drink a bit of wine and we wait for the wine to make us tell a few things. Some of these things are true about us and some are not. All right, the opinions that we have, or the opinions that some of our people have here, it's just for fun. This is something that we do for fun, but also in many ways you might find a gem, either for work or to share it, and maybe a point of discussion with other friends. And this week, on this subject here, about divorcee, I am not a divorcee. I've never divorced. Chris has never divorced. Cam has divorced 7 times. And Belinda, you have divorced once. Oh yeah, so you're fine. Okay, so
so the good news is Belinda and I are done, and you two are in a world of shit. You got a 50% chance. So I've had my 1 in 2. Well, technically, I'll get out on a
good line. That's a good. I like that line.
Technicality. I didn't marry my first. The mother of my first child, I didn't marry. We were together for 8 years. We had a kid together, but I never. I managed to dodge that bullet. So.
You're not out of the woods. They say that it's 1 in 2 of the first marriage. The second marriage, it's even higher, and by the third, it's like a 70% chance of divorce.
I can categorically state right here and right now, if this marriage doesn't make it, I'm not going again. So I'm not trying to increase my chances. If the second shot doesn't work, then I'm not getting a booster. Put it that way.
No booster.
Let's start this subject. So why do you think 50% of marriages?
Let's put that into context. 1 in 2 couples that you sit with, there's a very good chance that aren't going to stay together. Right? And, it's 1 in 2. It's a stat that you throw out. It's 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. Or when you actually think about that, no, it's 1 in 2, mate. It's nearly 50%. It's like 48 point something percent.
Okay.
Very high.
Let's actually have a think about that. Like when you put that into context of people sitting in a room or whatever, that's half the room. And there's a cost on every level. There's a massive financial cost. There's a massive spiritual costs. There's a massive mental cost. There's ramifications for kids. There's it's a horrible bloody thing.
I just have to interrupt you. I've got people who are listening to our stuff and who said, "Yay, the way to go." What is it? Moscato has my vote, Eleni. That's it. She's gonna fail.
Eleni!
You're barred from the page.
No. Please, if you are to Moscato, please do not join Wine and Wisdom.
You're blocked. You're gone.
You can have like Water and Wisdom, some shit like this, but do not come to Wine and Wisdom. All right? So just want to let you know. Can we cancel that culture, that person? Can we cancel?
Yeah, can we just block? Just put a note there, mate. We'll block them, never to appear again.
All right, let's keep on going. So let's go back. So why do people get divorced? I mean, you fall in love with a person, and then you sit there and you divorce. Is that how it works? Is it after 2 years? Is it?
I think you got to. Yeah, I think
2 years is lust, and then afterwards it's like there's nothing left. And if you can't have friendship replacing lust, then it goes to the drain. It goes down the drain. Is that how it works?
I don't. You almost got to break it into time frames and segments, because I know people who've been married 50 years who then decide to get divorced. And there's people who've been married 5 minutes who decide to get divorced. And you can throw a massive assumption out there and say the people who've been married 5 minutes who get divorced probably should never have been married. Right? And you can look into the reasons of that. But then what, you spend half a century with somebody and then decide they're not the one for you? Wow.
Well, majority of marriages, I was looking at the stats, majority of marriages that get divorced are they're saying between 7 to 10 years. That's where the majority of divorce.
At the time they're moving, is that why the houses move at the same time?
It may be the sales cycle. When it comes to 50-year marriages, Cam, I've heard a couple of examples of this. It's not 50 years, it's not quite that long, but a lot of those they're waiting for the kids to finish school or move on, and then they've realised they've gone their separate ways and they move on. But I think for me, and I was thinking about this all week, and I've never been, obviously we said before, I've never been divorced, but for me, marriage is work. It's not something you just do and it happens. You have to work at a good marriage. It's like
you have a second job. Yeah, it's like you have a second job.
It's like a good partnership within business. It's like a good recipe. There's ingredients that go into a good marriage. Communication, honesty, openness, compromise, give and take, all this sort of thing. But I think a lot of people, the biggest mistake that I found is a lot of women, a lot of men don't marry their friend, someone they truly connect with. They marry a reflection of their parent. Someone that can protect them, someone that can, cater to their whims, cook, clean, wash, iron, all that sort of stuff. I think a lot of people forget you need to marry a partner, not a supervisor or a supplier. It's a partnership.
I think it's less deep than that. I think overall, as human beings, we don't like being alone. So,
I'm careful, mate, careful. I'm starting to see that we're actually making sense and we're going very deep. So I just want to take a disclaimer. If you're listening to Wine and Wisdom and decide to get a divorce after this, it's not I just want to let you know we were joking and we were only sharing maybe ideas and opinions. Okay, so if you're thinking of getting divorced and you're thinking of using Wine and Wisdom in court to get more money out of the deal, it's not the case. All right, it's just a joke. Whatever we say is a joke.
Listen, you chose the topic. Stop trying to run from it. All right. Now, one of your favorite lines when we're doing our training and our leadership is when we're talking about the 6 life needs of love and connection is most people settle for connection because they can't find love. And that goes back to what I was saying before I was rudely cut off with disclaimers. That most people just don't like being alone. So they find someone they can put up with for long enough. And depending on what they seek in life and constant companionship. They tie it up in this word we have called marriage, which is supposed to mean so much, and at the end of the day means so little, because it is such a fickle beast. You said before, TL, it's almost a second job. Therein lies part of the problem. We probably look at it as second to what we actually do with our everyday. We look at it as a second job rather than the main job, or how many people choose their career over their relationship, or how many careers kill relationships. Even in the words we're speaking now, when we're trying to have a bit of a laugh and not talk too much sense, is all the problems. Like, marriage is almost like a second job. Well, it probably shouldn't be the second job, should it?
Yours, with all the companies you have, is your fifth or your sixth job, I think.
Yeah, oh, mate, I give it 20 minutes a day and 2.5 minutes at night if I'm lucky, or if she is. And
That's 2 minutes.
The marriage is strong. But I mean, but you see COVID, right? So lockdown, I've never been out to any more listing appointments ever than for people separating or getting divorces than I have in the last 18 months. And the only thought I can put to it is, when we do marry people, we don't expect to have to spend 24 hours of every single day with them, do we?
No.
In a lot of cases, we're not. We know that I can put up with this person probably I love this person for 8 hours a day, but to have that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a lot of people aren't ready for it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that I've been out to more divorce appointments than ever before, because people have been forced to spend so much time in the same room as each other. And that's where the real problems, anything you've been band-aided over, anything you've been bandaging over, anything that you don't think's a real issue suddenly gets magnified tenfold, and all of a sudden everyone's running for the hills. It's a crazy thing.
Can I ask you this, mate, though? On the flip side of that, do you think some marriages have been strengthened by spending a bit more time together?
Yeah,
because I know we had dinner recently with good friends, and they were saying, look, that now it's opened up. The husband has to go back to work. The wife was going, don't go. I want you to stay home. I mean, they automatically that marriage had been strengthened by that time together.
The stats 50%, mate, which means for every argument, the counter argument is exactly the same. For every marriage that's in trouble because they've spent 24 hours together, there's a marriage that's even better because they've spent 24 hours together.
Yeah.
I had my first child when I was 25, right? And my ex and I had been together for 8 years. We were too young for any of that stuff. I'm still immature. So imagine me at 18, 19, 20 years of age. We knew we were on the rocks well before she got pregnant, and we made a decision even at that age that we wouldn't follow in my parents' footsteps and stay together just for the kid. We were like, right, this is what we're going to do. But if it isn't working, we've got to go our own separate ways, because I didn't want my boy growing up in the same sort of toxic environment from that level.
So here's one of the topics you just opened. So who is right? The parents, your parents, who stuck with each other and decided, hey, let's put the family and the kids first, so that that we give them some sense of stability. Or the people who say, no, if we don't love each other and we're staying together, we're actually going to teach the kids, do not have love in a couple. And we're teaching them the wrong thing. So what is right?
Well, from my experience, I knew as much as the parents stayed together for the kids, we knew what was going on the whole time. We saw the fights. We saw all the shit going on. And then as I've gotten older, my mum's been miserable for the majority of her life because she stayed in a relationship that she shouldn't have been in for us. So, and now at 65 years of age, she's finally, she broke free a couple of years ago. And she's finally got some semblance of her own life or trying to. So, and I'm still carrying the burden, carrying the scars of them staying together in a lot of ways because of the shit I've seen and the shit we went through. So but then I look in my situation where we decided not to stay together because we didn't want to do that to our son, and that's created a whole world of other issues. So I don't know if there is a right answer. Now I've got a 14-year-old son I don't have a very good relationship with, and I don't get to see as often as I'd like. And there's, so fuck, you don't know, do you?
I think there's no right way. You have to do what's right for you and try and always take that high road. I married my high school sweetheart. We were best friends. The day we got married, we stood there laughing like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. We were so happy. And we had 3 beautiful boys. And I love that chapter of my life. And we just grew apart because we were young. We were from high school. We had different goals, different ambitions, different thoughts. And when I say I started real estate 20 years ago, I then supported him. I supported the kids. I followed his dreams, his goals. And now I got my chance to follow mine. And I wanted my boys to understand love and to not see mum and dad just being together for them. And again, it's sad because my boys don't really get to see their dad. And that's not what I ultimately wanted, but that's what's ended up. But my boys see me happy again now, and we've now got 7 altogether. So we've got 2 10-year-olds, 2 12-year-olds, a 17 and 2 19-year-olds, and they're all best buddies. They all love the same thing. So we're creating this whole different, beautiful life for them and building great memories.
Belinda, can I ask you, look, I'm asking you because I don't know, right? I don't know. My wife and I, we got married, and our career paths have changed dramatically from when we first met, where my wife was working in accounts in some backward company to being, head of a HR department nationally and so forth. So her career's taken off, my career's taken off. So our careers taken off, but our families always stayed together. So I want to know, what grew apart? Was it the passion? Was it the communication? What do you think was different?
It's a common theme of this podcast, Chris not knowing, by the way, just so this is.
I think you must have supported your wife and allowed her to follow her dreams.
No. Hang on. This is the problem with, I think, most marriages is I didn't allow.
Switzerland's in trouble. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, no, I didn't allow her to do anything. Right. This is my job to support my wife.
See, that's beautiful. I didn't have that, and I felt guilty doing anything for myself. I loved real estate. I always wanted to do real estate, but I would support him in his businesses, his role, because he needed that extra support. Even though he changed his career path, I think 5 or 6 times, I still gave him 100% in that. See, but then that's also a weakness, and maybe I should have stood up, and maybe we still would have been on the same page going together, but in the end I got frustrated and I was this, what's going on?
Yeah, so do you think it was communication? Was it more, you should have been a bit more forthright, you should have been more explaining what you wanted from him within that relationship earlier?
I think earlier I did do that, but then I'm always happy. Anyone who's known me even 20, 25 years ago, I'm happy. Put me in any situation, I will make the best of it. And I had to keep, helping him, propping him up in anything he did. And I think it took its toll on me and him eventually.
Fair enough.
And we just grew apart.
But that's not his fault. You decided.
No.
Yeah, so it's not his fault. So why would you not change? But this is a problem with, by the way, this is a problem with a lot of marriages. Men marries a woman and hope that she'll never change. And of course she does, right?
Yeah.
Women marry men and hope that she will be able to change him. And of course she can't change him. And so this is the problem already when we start. But in your case, you're giving him support willingly. Is it willingly or not? I just want to ask.
100%. Okay. I gave it everything.
Is it out of love, or is it, if he's going to make more money, then I don't have to work? I mean, I just want to ask a question. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I always had happiness in my core, and I felt like he didn't, and I wanted to get him to that place. The only person that can get him to that place is himself.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with you not chasing your dreams or following your dreams, which was the reason you gave for the marriage breaking down. So That's it, because I was going to ask exactly the same question as Thomas. I was going to be a bit more blunt. I was going to say, did he ever tell you you can't? I was just going to say, did he ever tell you couldn't follow your dreams?
No, but it was more time consuming doing his stuff and the kids and the house. I had sort of 3 roles. But I'm that person, if it bothers you, do it and it's done. Rather than get upset about it, just do it, get it done.
That's women again. Is it? They women can take on like 1, 10, 15, 20 chores, and they'll go until they're exhausted, right? That's the problem. So is that then it's the woman's problem? So is it possible that the woman is then the cause of most divorces?
Well, I think that's why men are actually shocked when the woman goes. The woman's had all this build up for a long time. I've supported you. I've done this. I've done that. I've tried to tell you in different ways. And the men don't see it. They're just here. Whereas we're here, kids, work, the house, everything. And then all of a sudden the man goes, what just happened? And for 5 or 6 years, I've told you, I'm burning out. Oh, I need help. I'm special too. Too late. Once a woman's decided, honestly, it's game over. You can ask any counsellor when they walk in, they can tell the woman is done. She's there as a last resort, whereas the men's still going, what just happened? Where did she go?
So Belinda, I ask you this, I mean, and please don't take this the wrong way. You've got more experience in this than us 3 put together, right? Cam had an 8-year relationship, wasn't actually married. How long were you in your marriage for?
We were married. I got married, I was almost 23 and divorced 16 years later.
Okay, so this you've got a new partner, obviously, because it's a combined family now. What are you going to do differently?
We do heaps different, and we do support each other, and we say, so what do you want? What do you want to, where do you see yourself in a few months' time, years' time, whichever? And we've made lots of changes together. So when you've got a partner on that same page, you achieve a lot. In the 4 years that we've been together, we've flipped a house, we've moved to the coast, we've bought acreage, we're building a shed, we've got an investment property. Like, we've achieved a lot. We are on that same page, and we do speak often. And he'll say, come on, all we've done for the last month is just the kids. Let's go. He's an awesome cook. I am so blessed. I could do wine and wisdom every night, hop off to a gourmet meal. And he'll organise a platter, and we'll just pop down to the beach because it's 15 minutes from here, living the dream. Anyone wants to come to the coast, call me now. And it's a great lifestyle. And that's what we wanted.
But what happens when, 16 years, a long time married, this time it's 4.
And we were together many years before that and lived together a very long time.
Same with mine. I knew my ex since we're 10 years old. But what happens when things start to go not even wrong? What happens when you're not happy? Are you going to speak up this time, or are you going to?
We speak up the moment it happens. You can ask him. And honestly, we have way more outside pressure than we've ever had when it was my first husband, my husband, and just our kids. We've got all different kids, different personalities. He's got exes, and I tell you, there's a lot of pressure from those.
So
how do you speak up?
We talk. I can talk to him about everything and anything.
So when you have a problem, do you say to him, listen, sit down, there's something I want to talk to you, and then he sits down? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I go, Ollie, what just happened then? And I'll pull him aside, even when we've got all the kids here, and I'll say, what's going on there? Why are you frustrated? What are you upset about? Because we have to, we made a pact. They're not your kids, not my kids. They're our kids. We parent them the same.
But what about when you're upset?
I'm upset more than him. He's good.
Yes. So now answer the question.
Yes, Cameron.
Right. You had a relationship that didn't work because you felt like you weren't chasing your dreams and it was all about him. And now you're saying that when you guys have issues, it's always him that's frustrated and he tells you, or you ask him. So
I'm frustrated.
You're frustrated, or you're having an issue, or life isn't going where you want it to go. Thomas is asking how you, not him, how you have that conversation.
We communicate very, very well.
How do you communicate it?
It's pull him aside and say, hey, you know, when that happened, I felt like this. How did you feel? Why did you react that way? You know, let's do that better next time because the kids heard you say that and they were upset, or, you know, we address it immediately. And he supports my career 100%, 100%. He's even said to me, you want your own office? I'll support you. I've never had that before. Never had that before.
Let's try and bring a bit of lightness to the room. Yeah,
well,
let's try and take preventative measures, all right? Let me ask this to the guys who haven't been divorced before. How long did you know your wife before you married her, Chris?
18 months.
Oh, so you're gonna. It's going to be 50%. How long did you know Veronique before you married her, Thomas?
10 years.
Right. So my first marriage that Chris said wasn't real. Mate, it's marriage when you look at the child support payments, let me tell you. We'd known each other since we were 10 years old. So by the time we split, 16 years. And my current wife, we'd known each other for 2. And it's going along swimmingly, isn't it, darling? Is she watching? I don't know if she's watching this week. She hasn't recovered from last week. So there you go. There's 50, because I was going to say we all see people who get engaged after 6 months, right? Or 4 weeks, or meet on a reality TV show, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So is there a formula? And TL, I'm looking for something from you here, mate, because you've given courses on or training sessions on relationship, right? So what's the magic formula?
No, listen, I'm inspired listening to you guys. That's why I'm learning so that I can avoid the pitfalls. I think
it starts with getting married, and then what you got?
I'm inspired. Maybe it's a wrong word to use, which is I'm inspired, but I'm thinking, oh man, you better write it down and listen. I think that the first thing is to always make your partner number one, even above your children. And I think that as long as you do that, then it'll be fine. Chris said it at the beginning, Belinda's got that tree, and I always remember this line where, you know, marriage is something you need to water. It's like a tree. The watering needs to happen every single day. And the day that you stop, that's the problem. That could be the start of things, because, you know, the Bolton spoke about this. He's a philosopher, an English philosopher, that he said in an article, and you can find it on YouTube, that most probably you will be marrying the wrong person. That's mainly because as a human being, as we grow, there are things about us that is no longer perfect, because we've had a father who's been too strict, who taught you the value of you're not good enough to have my love, or you had a mother who has to look after a child that was weaker, therefore you feel like you've been pushed away. Because as a child, it's a very simple thing. If you don't see mom spending the same 5 minutes on you as she's spending on the other child, then it means you're not as loved as the other child. And so then you always ask yourself as a child, the question is, what is it that I've done? Why is it my fault? So as a human being, you grow by hiding all of these programs, but those programs have been there. Then you marry the person. And I don't know, and I'm not a psychologist nor a psychiatrist. Are you marrying an image of your dad? Are you marrying an image of your mom? I'm not so sure. But you're a broken thing getting into a marriage with maybe another broken thing. And here are now 2 broken things that need to mend each other and grow together. Or actually, one does not want to mend, the other one is trying to mend the one that she loves, and it doesn't work. And suddenly we have something that is breaking up. But if you put your partner as always number one, then you have to work at mending. If she's number one or if he's number one, then you have to sit down and find out when things are not going right. And I think that if you have that rule, probably a lot of things can be avoided.
Yeah, you should always make the time. make the time to talk, to be together. It doesn't matter how busy work is with the kids, life gets in the way, but just come back. And it doesn't have to be an expensive dinner date. It can be a picnic at the local beach, the park. It's just about time.
And men don't even take the time to really think about certain things. You know, like if only men understood that women love surprises, then they will do so much better, because it's not about, to a man, going to a restaurant is like this. All right, I booked a restaurant for next week. All right, 7 o'clock, be ready. To a woman, it's the Cinderella thing, you know, when she's busy working and cleaning the toilet where you've used and you've never cleaned, and you come in and you say, hey, listen, darling, just get dressed tonight. I've booked a place. That is worth probably more than 2 or 3 dinners, maybe even more. It's that element of surprise, or one day coming home with that bunch of flower, or saying something unexpected. And there's so many little techniques. I shouldn't say techniques because my wife's probably listening. There's so many little tips that you can actually learn from your own parents and the people who've done well. That, you know, women love surprise, men are more organized, women are using words such as I've had enough, and that doesn't mean it's had enough. Like a woman would say to her man, I've had enough, that's it. A man goes, what you talking about? I've had enough, that's it. His world's starting to break down. But for the woman, she's actually sending a message that, hey, listen, I need some support here now, which is what you said, Belinda, is that you have told your husband so many times, he did not hear. And after a little while, well, you know, it's broken. I think that this is where the kids and what we're trying to do in our podcast, talking about relationship, is so important now. Is that our kids do not have that same sense of relationship the way we have. They probably break up and they probably will divorce via SMS and DocuSign. Right? They probably will dump each other via Instagram. They probably will sue each other for half of the thing by collecting photos on Instagram that are really damaging to each other. I don't think we understand what they're gonna go in. We only understanding what we've gone through, which is, well, we're not happy. We talk about it. We do something, and for our children to really understand the value of communication, of talking to each other whenever there's an issue. Well, isn't it the same thing we do at work?
Absolutely. I want to ask you guys this, and I was thinking about this. Do you think that people, look, I've been very blessed in life. My parents were together. Sorry, they both passed away now, but we were together for a very, very long time. Only one marriage. I had a very good upbringing. My parents fought. There's no question about that. But at the end of the day, I wanted to ask, do you think that a lot of people learn the way they deal with their partner from their parents? And that lack of communication, I mean, you said, Cam, you guys knew that your mum and dad were in a difficult situation. You felt that, you knew that, and you didn't want that. Do you think a lot of people have that go into divorce, or it doesn't have anything to do with that sort of ratios?
Oh, I think that you asked 2 questions there. I think the first bit is, yes, a lot of people take on what they've seen growing up, and that's the same as anything. We know that our kids will emulate our actions, and monkey see, monkey do, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
How much that plays a role in the divorce rate, I don't know. A lot of people I know won't get married because of the shit they've seen when they were a kid that their parents go through.
Yeah, fair enough.
The worst thing that can happen ever is that you emulate something that you didn't like growing up. So it's always a fear I've got, but then I catch myself all the fucking time doing some of the same stuff my old man did, and not to the levels that he did, but you sit there and go,
it was a bully.
Shut up, idiot.
Yeah, but when you catch yourself doing that, mate, and I know you're a smart guy, you change quite quickly from, you can go from left to right quite quickly, and you understand how to adjust things. When you catch yourself doing that, do you then do it less next time, or do you stop that?
Mate, sometimes no, and part of it makes me wonder, like, how much of it's
inherent,
whether there's a gene for you or part of your DNA, because you don't even enjoy it while you're doing it.
Hey? It's a learned behaviour.
Oh yeah, but I've changed a lot of learned behaviours, but I haven't been able to change yelling at the kids. You know, like I've changed a lot of things. I've given up lots of stuff. I've completely changed the human being I am over time. And then you just do stuff where you go, for fuck's sake, like of all the things you don't want to do in the world, you do that one thing and you repeat it and you repeat it and you just go, where the... And it was actually, it's a question I was going to ask Thomas after he finished talking. You've obviously done a lot of research and study into it. And for me, apart from reading Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, that's as far as most blokes get. So what drove you to delve so deeply into relationship? Like, I know it starts off as a sales technique or whatever, but you've taken it to a level where you
It started as a sales technique that I learned from Men Are From Mars and then Women From Venus, when he taught the value of when a woman complains and you're in a relationship, don't give her the answer, right? Which is what I did with Veronique early in the days. Whenever she'd come home from a law firm in the city, she'd always say things like, and they did this, and I can't believe they did that, and I cannot believe that, you know, I'm being used like this. And I'm thinking like as if I was a savior by giving her an answer. And mate, at the end of every single night, the cannon would turn against me. I'm always the villain. It's always, I didn't want an answer from you. I was just wanting to share with you what I'm going to. And so I think that Dr. John Gray really gave me the first #1 technique that I've used for a long time.
But then you've gone into a lot of extra effort, right? You're doing the extras. You've studied the shit.
What he suggested is you need, when your wife starts to complain, make sure you get those earplugs. And put on those earplugs. You don't have to listen to her. Just pretend and keep on doing what you're doing. Every now and then look at her and say this, yes, dear, you're right. You don't deserve it. And that's all I did. And I tried, because whenever I read something, I always try it straight away. I just want to see when it's right. And wait, that night she came home and complained, and I did exactly that. Man, that was the best sex I had in a long, long time then. Because at the end, she would say to me, thank you so much for listening. And I'm thinking, she did not ask me any question, because if you ask me a question, I won't be able to answer. Do you understand that? I don't even know what we were talking about. And so, but from then, I understood that, hold on, there's so much more about relationship. All of us get married. Yeah, we see the priest or we see whoever, but we never get given the book that says, this is how you use this relationship. And so you have to go out there and research. You have to look at things. You have to study people. One of the things I want to ask you, because the two of you seem to have a very similar experience. The two of you have gone out with your school sweetheart, high school sweetheart, or even primary school sweetheart. So is it possible that you were marrying, when you got married, you were marrying the ideal image of the person you had? And also, is it because out of ego that you're thinking, oh, we can make this work, and I'm not going to let my best friend down by not doing it? Therefore, you're marrying the person for the wrong reasons.
I think when I got married, I was marrying for all the right reasons. We just didn't know how to communicate well. We didn't understand each other. Right. And I think, like, moving forward, if you understand your partner's love language, because that's different for everybody. If you came in and surprised me whilst I was cleaning a toilet and said, quick, we're going out for dinner, I'd be devastated. My hair, the kids, I haven't cooked for them. I'd rather have that planned, it was coming, and I'd rather, instead of flowers or chocolates or Moscato, surprisingly, a coffee when I came in. That's my thing, my coffee, I relax. Steve does that for me. I walk in and there's always a coffee ready. That speaks volumes to me. That says I love you in 100 different ways.
Yeah, but he knows you love coffee.
Still not answering the question.
And you've learnt that over the last 3 days. But it's simple. I appreciate that. I'm not high maintenance, although I'm an influencer. It's simple for me. And I never got that off my previous partner. I didn't even have to ask Steve.
I understand that you love your previous partner, but did you marry the image that you had of him when you were younger and when you were like really best mate and thinking, I'm not going to destroy the friendship we have and whatever we've built, and I'm going to take a chance on that?
I didn't feel like I was taking a chance. In all honesty, I felt like we knew each other.
I'm asking, right?
Okay.
What about you, Ken?
Mine was completely out of convenience, which I told her. No, I told her one day that didn't go down very, very well at all. But
surprise, surprise.
We were friends all through school. We didn't see each other for a couple of years. Through life went different ways, and she rocked up on the doorstep one day after a game of footy, and I thought, no, let's go. And then it took, after a couple of years, it did sort of turn into love, and then it was, but mate, the whole thing was probably doomed from the start. A lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of different things going on during those years, and but honestly, from the start, it was convenience. It was, when I mentioned, like, yeah, it was, yeah, there's probably no other way of putting it. There was someone you knew, didn't have to worry too much, didn't have to try too hard, because you'd known each other for, at that stage when we first got together, we'd known each other for 8 years already. So that newfangled, because I'm on the cusp, right? I'm 39, so I'm definitely not of a Tinder age where now you just flick left or right, depending on who you want. But I'm also was
Tinder age.
Hey?
What is Tinder age?
Oh, I think only just below me. I think once you're sort of 35 and under, you're pretty much, it's a lot less, there's a lot less, you guys, especially the oldest two, Belinda, I won't throw us in there, but, you know, courtship and asking parents' permission and going on multiple dates before you could do any of that sort of stuff. Like, that was definitely wasn't a factor when we were doing what we were doing, but there's even more of less so of a factor now. And you could just hook up and it was easy. So we did, and then we kept hooking up for 8 years, and a child became of it, I think. Apart from a few.
Let's go back to the question. We now have people not putting each other number one. I think we had communication. We had not having the same goals. What's another reason you think that people are getting divorced?
Well, the convenience wears off.
The convenience. Oh yeah.
The convenience wears off. You're like, I needed this at the time. I really needed someone. I was lonely. I was this. I was that. I didn't think I'd ever find anybody.
Here's a question I want to ask too, because most of our kids now they stay home, okay, and they stay home for a long time. So what's going to happen, because they haven't lived together? They when they have a boyfriend and girlfriend, they spend half of the week at my place. They eat my food, they drink my wine, and if every now and then I just have a thank you, it's good. And then they spend half of the week on the other side of the family, where they drinking their wine, they eat their food. Sometimes they're scared of having a shower at their place, so they come home and freaking use 20 minutes of my hot water. So I just wonder, when these kids are growing up like this and they haven't had their own space and they haven't moved in together, they have their own space. And some of these kids, they moved in together, but they can't afford it. So do you know what they do? They have someone to live with them for $140 a week will get bored and these things. And these guys are not even married. I mean, is that a problem?
It's going to be the lockdown effect. As soon as that even to the point where they got a roommate. I've been there too. Like, the roommate's still the icebreaker. As long as there's a parent around or someone else around, there's an icebreaker. Once you're in the same house together, everything changes. I defy anyone to tell me it doesn't. And then you find out where things are really at.
I'm not understanding what you're saying. Well, can you just say it in English?
As long as they're coming to your house and eating your food and drinking your wine and have you to talk to when they don't feel like talking to the other person, or they can go to another house and do the same thing for the other half of the week. And then because they're not sure of that, they take a roommate with them when they eventually do move in together, because there's another icebreaker. As soon as they're not, the relationship hasn't been tested and you still don't know what the other person's 100% like, because you haven't lived with them inside the same four walls for any period of time without someone there to cause a distraction. And I think that, again, you guys, I mean, I'm making lots of assumptions, but I'm not 70 years old, so I don't know. But back in the day, you didn't live with people before you married them, did you? No. So, but then
I didn't.
But then your generation are the type of your generation of the people who stay married for 50 years. So maybe there's something to that. Whereas my generation, all the rage was as soon as you could get out of home, fucking get out of home and get a house. And if you could do it with a girlfriend, even better. And you're playing happy families at 18, 19, 20 years of age. And then a lot of the time you end up actually playing happy families, because that amount of time alone together, you're going to get up to no good.
So you saying that because they haven't lived together, it's a recipe for success. That's what you're saying, Cam?
No, I was saying it was a recipe for disaster, and then I realised that the older, your generation, that they'd never lived together. So I actually don't know. 50-50, brother. It keeps coming back to 1 in 2.
What's happening to? What do you think, Belinda?
I can see what Cameron's saying there. They haven't had the responsibility. They flip to your house, to the partner's parents' house. They don't have the financial stress.
No bills, no rent, no stress, no whatsoever.
No responsibility.
You don't even have to mow the lawn.
And when they don't like each other, they can go. And when they don't like each other, they can go back to their own beds for the night, and everything's cool in the morning.
What are you saying? Are you saying that when they have to then live together and see the real picture, now maybe things can change? And
I'm saying there's a 50% chance it won't work out.
If they don't communicate, if they don't.
Yeah, brother, you're
I'm not, but it is. It's 1 in 2.
On the fence.
I would lean towards it doesn't work out, because
those young couples who actually have another border because they're either helping someone or it's a little bit of that money is going to go towards paying the electricity. What do you reckon, Chris?
Mate, listen, if you're a newly married couple or looking at getting married, living together, and you've got someone living with you, seriously, mate, 5 months, 6 months, any longer, get out. Leave them alone.
As long as there's more people, you haven't had to sit down and have a conversation about who does which, who does what, right? Everything's happy families until you got to work out who picks up the dirty underwear off the bathroom floor.
The problem
at
is
the moment, a lot of people have their parents still doing that for them.
You're right, mate. The problem is this: when you've got a newly married couple or a new couple that have got a third housemate, like the sort of third person in a, it doesn't work. When these guys, this is a long-term commitment. That person's not going to be there forever. They need to learn how to work together. And they've got to learn that early, because what's the use of learning that 7 years, it's 7 to 10 years down the track? Learn it now.
But you guys obviously did that. You guys obviously did that with a lot of success, right? You didn't live together first, or maybe you did. I'm not 100% sure, but
we did.
Right, but
we did.
Chris, you didn't. But you also
to be able to walk to the kitchen fully naked to just get a glass of water.
How good is it?
I mean, how good is that?
How good is it? How good is it?
And my kids still hate it.
No, but so now you couple the fact that you couple it with the new age we're in, and fair to say we're in the age of entitlement, right? So, which obviously wasn't so much of a factor for you guys when you were coming up, but now, so the minute they're left alone and they're in their own house and they go, oh shit, we're only in this together. Who does stick it out for any length of time, because it has to be fixed right now. It has to be good right now, or we're out. That's how we do everything nowadays, right? If we don't like something, I mean, we suffered through that friggin' book for however many weeks, even though we didn't like it. But couple the fact that haven't lived together and we're in the age of entitlement where we expect instant gratification or we're out, our marriage is actually getting shorter and shorter. The divorce rate's the same, but are we done as soon as someone farts at the wrong time, you know?
But funnily enough, mate, I did the stats from 1993 to 2019, and actually the longevity of a marriage actually went up from then to then. So I think because of the fact they were living together, and then when they finally get married, that actually went up a little bit. But I'll take you back, and I can only speak from personal experience, that when I married my beautiful wife, I had something, and I still suffer from it, domestic blindness. I don't know if clothes need hanging. I don't see dirty dishes in the sink. I don't see a dirty floor, but I can see a list. If you tell me what the hell needs to be done, I can cross off a freaking to-do list. We learned very quickly that you want me to do something, put it on a list. And my wife learned very quickly, because it's not your way, doesn't mean it's the wrong way. I remember an argument we had was, she goes, you hung the clothes out wrong. I gone, what? Wrong? Are they dry? Yeah. How's it wrong? They're dry. Oh, well, you got to hang them like this, and you got to hang them like that. It saves on ironing and blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, it's dry. My job's done, right? So there was learning curves on both sides. And we had those early sort of, I don't know, teething issues when we first got married because we didn't live together. We come from both Italian families. She lived at home. I lived at home. We got married. We moved into our home only after that time. And we had a hell of a time working out how to live with each other. You know what? I believe that made our marriage so much stronger for it.
But you're both on the same page and you work together.
How often is that going to happen now?
So you didn't experience living together before?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So your advice is to the kids of today, just live like leeches on your parents. Save as much as you can, so that the day that you get married, you can buy the biggest house.
It's more my experience would be you have to work together to make it work. This is not a him or her scenario. It's a partnership, guys. Whether it's in a church or a celebrant in a park, whatever it is a partnership.
But you don't have to do that, mate, because you can just jump on Tinder and swipe left. That's the thing. No, but that's the thing that if it's not already happening, like Thomas talked about people breaking up over text message, because it's a job and because you have to work at it, and people don't even like working at their jobs now. So how are they going to work at a marriage and potentially, oh shit, am I going to have to put up with this for 50 years? No, thanks. So it's all, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand, mate. I understand. And we're becoming in a throwaway society, right?
Yeah, so are we throwing away partners at the same rate? That's what I'm saying. Are we, when the people eventually move out of their parents' home, are they going to hate each other after 2 days and go, righto, I'm out, I'm done?
You know, again, my experience, mate, I had relationships before I met my wife, and I was not a good guy before I met my wife. I met my wife and I knew she was the one, mate. And it's funny enough, you might say, yeah, she's the one, love at first sight. It wasn't love at first sight, but I knew she was the one. And I saw how my parents treated each other. She was in a long-term family that would never separated. So, man, it was going to work. And it's not been easy.
I love how Chris always used the podcast as a kind of a reiteration of his love for Natasha.
She doesn't listen, man. She doesn't listen to the podcast. I mean, I'd get a bit more if she did, I reckon. But
I love that bit. Anyway, the podcast is about two things. We need to be controversial. We need to raise things for people to say, "Oh shit, what is it?" So I'm gonna do something like just for the sake of raising some controversy. Do you think that parents who divorce really end up fucking their kids?
It depends on the relationship and if it was toxic, how they handled it, things like that. Because yes, you could.
Shouldn't you work things out no matter what? If you took the responsibility of having children, the minute you took the responsibility, should you or should you not assume that responsibility no matter what, like a stoic?
I think
what
you
you
can
mean?
try,
Stay married.
but happiness is key.
Stay married. Do whatever it takes to rekindle that relationship every single day so that it comes back to that level of that first day.
No, there's my answer.
I'm sorry, I'm with Cam on this. Kids, if there's kids in the marriage, and depending on the marriage, if it's a violent marriage or it's not teaching the kids the wrong way, it's not the right thing to stay in that marriage.
No. But we're not talking about the violent marriage. What about a non-violent marriage?
If it's a loveless marriage, it's not the right thing, mate. It's our responsibilities,
We just didn't like each other, Tom. We just didn't like each other, mate. You can't stay there. You just can't.
Yeah.
We just fucking didn't like each other. You know what? And it's we still pretend to like each other for the kids' sake, but we still don't like each other. Like there's just no.
Let's go back to this. I'm only asking questions, all right?
No, I answered you. No, you're wrong.
So you love the person. You love the person so much that you've decided, if anything happens in the future, I could actually be giving you half of my income until the kid is 18, right? So you marry that person so much, you marry the person. And
I was thinking with the little head, not the big head, mate. That's all that happened there.
All right. So do you then sit down and say, hold on, I made this decision. Nobody forced me into making this decision, right? So should you really sit down and do this work? Should the government charge people who are getting divorced a much bigger premium? Like such as, you want a divorce, the state will take back 25% of your belonging. I mean,
Mate, it wouldn't matter if the Catholic Church, which can scare anybody into anything, can't scare people out of getting divorced, then the government's no chance. Like, don't forget, if you get divorced and you're a Catholic, you're going to hell, baby. It's a sin, and even they can't stop it happening.
What we're saying right now is starting to get a lot of people and giving their own opinion right now. So I just want to say it was just a hypothetical. Okay. You don't need to look for me. I am a nice guy.
And he didn't mean fucking the children. He meant fucking the children. All right. If I use that clip to you, you're in trouble, mate. No, but that's mate, my point's still valid. And maybe like religion has tried to scare people out of getting divorced for centuries. You're not allowed to do it, but they do.
Marriage without under a church, any religious sort of umbrella has decreased dramatically, to the fact it's only counts for 22% of marriages at the moment.
Yeah, but here's a line like Marie Trigg just sent us. I think you have to remember what attracted you in the first place and find it again.
Double D's.
And children are concerned. And he's
not even joking.
Should you sit down and say, listen, if you took the ugliest man and and Elle Macpherson and you put them both on a planet, on an island, they'll fall in love with each other eventually. So
no, do they fall in love or do they fall in lust? Because man big dog's got to eat, right? So there's levels to it. I don't disagree with Meg. Like my ex and I tried. We went to the point where we knew we probably shouldn't be having a child together, and we still had a child together. We tried, but I'm not saying you give up. That's what I worry about. That's what I was saying about the entitled generation that we're currently in. They're going to give up after 30 seconds. Right? The minute they get alone with each other and realise that someone snores or fucking who knows what, it's over. I'm not saying don't work on stuff, but the point is
literally fucking who knows what. Or
if it reaches a point, you've got to be mature enough and adult enough to realise that it's not working, and you've got to be able to go your separate ways. And does that mess the children up? 100%. But I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, and I let him stay with his mother because I figured a boy needs his mum.
No. Now you lie. It was probably like convenient to you. Like all kids always will go to mum because young boys are out there hunting new grounds, right? So that's something else that we should talk one of these days.
No, I could have had 50% custody. I could have had 50% custody, mate. But
you did.
But I didn't think it was right. And then I went, since trying to get it back, didn't. But the point is, you don't give up. I agree with Marie. You don't give up. You try and work. But that's not to the rest of your life. You don't stay with someone for 50 years just for the kids. You don't subserve yourself, in Belinda's case, or not chase your dreams because that's the right thing to do. Who's saying it's the fucking right thing to do? Right for who?
Yeah,
you're struggling. You know you're struggling.
To respond to Marie Trick, listen, if the guy is rich or if the woman is rich, stay with them for 50 years, all right? And hope he dies first or she does. And I think maybe that's something that you have a look at. I just don't know. I still, listen, isn't it true that some of us marry for money, for status? Isn't it true?
That's why my wife married me.
People laugh and they think they're not.
I can hear it. I can hear it on in the kitchen, so I'm just waiting for the response. Just wait for it.
I mean, I have to say,
she just fell over.
No, she's going to stab me. You watch. Domestic violence coming up.
Come on, Belinda. You and Chris represent the female side, and I just don't see you doing too much.
And I'm not saying you're a gold digger, but you ain't messing with no broke nigger.
Happiness is everything, and
no,
yes,
money.
I did try for a long time. It wasn't an easy decision, but when it came to it, it was easy. There was no turning back. No turning back.
Did you stay for 16 years because he was rich?
No, definitely not.
Is it because he was a good lover?
We were just good friends. Like we really were on that same page. We were good mates for that time. We were building together, and then just grew apart. I moved 5-6 hours from Sydney to be with him to follow another dream. I moved down to Jindabyne, and after 12 months, I was still happy. He was unhappy with his career, this, that, everything. And I thought, what am I going to do? Move to overseas next time? You've got to find your own happiness.
No, but I
just don't think you were committed.
He's more for you to be happy. Maybe it was his time to be happy, and you should move where he wants.
Yeah, and he's still down there, so that's great.
All right, what about people divorcing because the sex is not compatible? Do you know there's people who are very much, if you have sex like once a month is enough, and there's people, if you don't have it 3 times a day, it's a problem. So in between, there's the rest of the world. Could you believe that people get divorced because sexual appetite or habits not compatible?
Yes.
Have you heard the 3 types of sex, Thomas? Have you heard about the 3 types of sex?
No, what is that?
When you first get married, apparently it's called house sex, where you have it like every day in different parts of the house.
Mm-hmm.
After 5 years, they say it turns into bedroom sex once or twice a week in the bedroom. And after 30 years, it turns into hallway sex, where you pass each other once a week in the hallway and say, fuck you.
Well, it does happen. So this is what we need to be asking, right? So do you think that women actually get married for money and status more than men do?
Wow, I'm staying away from that.
I'm just looking.
I think if you were to throw the hand grenade out there, I think if you were to take a vote, more women want the white picket fence than do men. Yeah.
And I think
it's because of that image, and it's because of that image of the white picket fence. I wouldn't have that metaphor to use if it didn't exist.
All right, we have someone very angry because straight away it was one word. Linda Craig just said no. Okay, Linda, I apologize. I was just reading Cam's mind, and I was just reading the question on his behalf. So,
I feel like Thomas hasn't been happy with my performance the last couple of weeks because he's chosen to take a few bullets that I normally would have took for me.
I know the last 2 things, since we've been discussing about men versus women, I'm the only one like really going out there. Cam he's scared.
Yeah, but I'm speaking. No, I always just speak my truth, and on this one, my truth. Right?
You know what? We go back to the time of, you know, the caveman, that they find a partner that would protect them and support, supply them with food and shelter and so forth. And on the flip side, the male will look for someone who can bear children and create a nest, for want of a better word. Fast forward, a couple of thousand years, what's any difference? Where, the women are looking for someone who can support and protect them, whether it's financially or within the way they look or the perception of the society sees them, and the man, a bit of the other same side, ego, and are they going to be able to bear children and, look after me?
No, but the question was about sex. The question
was that far from our intrinsic sort of basic needs.
Pretty sure caveman always wants to fuck, mate. Bunga bunga.
You call it the same thing. That's good to know.
But it goes both. It's always, and again, it's a stigma, and it's a metaphor, and it's a story that everyone tells. And there's so many jokes about a sexless marriage, right? There wouldn't be jokes about it if it wasn't a common thing. And I guarantee you, when you first met and you first snuck up to the car park or hid behind the tree and played hide the sausage, that you didn't expect that you'd never get to play it again in your life. In some cases, like you hear some horrible things, 10 years, years and years and years without any loving. And that's a basic human instinct. We're meant to be one of only two species on the planet that are monogamous. How do you be monogamous if you can't do what you're...
That's a different subject. Now, can I just ask you maybe another question about the divorce? Back in the old days, because usually there's always children in the family. And one of the reasons is that you want children not only because it's a biological need, a drive, but also because, there's no superannuation in the old days. So you want a big family to look after you, right? So women tend to stay home and look after the kids. Men would go out there. And because they go out there, they've got more temptation, more things that happen. And usually they're the one instigating a lot of divorces. But because of social media these days and how easy it is for women to also have access to marital issues outside, do you think now that the incidence of maybe divorce could be on the increase where it's the woman walking out of the marriage?
It usually is to start with.
It's always a woman walking out of the marriage.
Statistics show it's 22%. I think it's about 22% the woman, and less, it's like 18% the man. The women instigate it majority of the time.
No, hold on. But
it only equals 40%, mate. What about the other 60%?
So I'm reading the wrong stats. I've got
another reason why you don't drink red wine.
Hey?
You get a divorce because
Moscato's winning. I don't care what you say. Moscato's winning this week.
Sorry, Thomas.
No. So I said instigating the divorce. It's one thing. It's like, if a woman finds out that, her husband's been having an 18 months, extramarital affairs. I understand she wants to walk out. I'm talking about, could it be now on the cards and on the increase that it is the woman through social media and these kind of portals that allows them to really go out there as soon as they're unhappy to now be the cause for more divorces?
I think all the talk we've done about social media and everything has proven one thing. We know for a fact that if you've got an issue, you'll be able to find a group somewhere that supports your issue.
I don't know who Linda Craig is, but I really like her. All right. She just answered my question. Bullshit. No, it's the man cheating. So what she said.
Well done, Linda.
So I'm just thinking, is it possible that there are actually more and more women cheating? Let's put it this way. Linda's asked a question. I believe that because of social media, more and more women are actually cheating.
I think it happens just as often. I think that's 50% too.
Okay, listen.
I'm not sitting on a fence. I think forever and a day. I'm not sitting on a fence, mate. I'm saying, and Linda can think what Linda wants to think, but For every man I know that's cheated on a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, partner, I know a female who's done exactly the same thing. So I don't think it's a new thing. I don't think it's on the rise. I think we cop a bad rap. It's always us that are doing the cheating, just like it's always us that are doing the domestic violence when we know full well guys are getting the shit beat out of them on a daily basis as well, but that never gets talked about. I think back to your social media question, I think anytime there's a gripe now, you're going to be able to find a group that supports it, unless you're a man, because you're not allowed to say that stuff as a man. So anytime someone doesn't wash a dish, there's going to be a group you can join on Facebook for women who hate men who don't wash dishes. And of course, that's going to lead to more divorces and giving up earlier, because you find a circle of people who are all thinking the same moronic thing, and then you all band together and go, right, we're all leaving our husbands. Problem is, the next husband doesn't wash the fucking dishes either. So then what do? But you're getting paid $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month in child support. You're getting all your benefits from the government. You don't care. You can find 10 husbands who don't wash their fucking dishes and you're laughing. Meanwhile, there's 10 blokes who have had their hearts torn out, spat all over, stood all on the ground, and they can't even say anything on Facebook because then he's a misogynist bastard, right? So does that answer Linda's question, or?
No, but it got John Black excited because he said it takes two to tango. Again, John, you just sitting on the fence. We try to find out the polarity. Yes, you know, everything in life, John, is about the ghost curves, which means the majority is always in the middle. So the majority of divorce is always the two of them. I'm just talking about, could it be that now with the novelties of social media and how women can get onto Facebook like at night and see and open the window to the world if they
Tinder goes both ways, baby. Tinder goes both ways. It's not a male app.
You know, the thing is, when someone's not happy in a marriage, it's simple, women or man. All it takes is someone to give them a little bit more attention, give them those few more compliments, and things start to go astray. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, whatever it may be, it's just a little spark on the other side and things go the wrong way. But it goes, that's a 50-50 way.
Nah, he's been political. The Ashley Madison thing that came out a couple of years ago, that website that's made just for people who want to have an affair, it didn't only have blokes on it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been called Ashley Madison. It would have had a much different name.
Anyway, let's cut down with the subject and let's close with a few things. First of all, congratulations, you boys. The three of us have actually committed to losing weight. We started after our last podcast, people, and we gave ourselves until the 31st of October to lose, what is it? 2 kilos. Okay, 2 kilos. All right. So, so far we're doing well. We all have lost.
That wasn't the whole point of it, right? The whole point of it was we're going to do 10 Ks by Christmas, yeah?
No. We said we're going to do 10 Ks before Christmas. So
by Christmas. So we broke it down into. We broke it down. We wanted to get off to a flying start, so we said in the first week we've got to drop 2 kilos.
All right. So those of you who want to lose a bit of weight, well, you can just join us. We are going to go for that. I am in talk with the boys and see if we should be setting like weekly targets between Cameron, Chris, and I. And if Belinda wants to join, no problem. But we are going to set up a target. And if we do not meet the target, one of you in the audience will be coming out for dinner with the people who did not make targets. I was going to ask the boys that, but something we will do later on. Right now, we're going to look at the scoring of our wine. So far, I have not lost in this last round. Cameron has won 1 round out of the last 3. Chris has won 0. Is it out of the last two? Last 2, so 0. So I just want to give you now the score for this next one. Thomas scored 4.33 average.
Fucking bullshit.
Cam scored, and I'm reading it the way it is. So Cam scored 4.2 average on his wine. That's not bad. So, and Chris scored 4.3.
But he's disqualified because it's the same wine we drank last week. It's the same wine as last week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a 4.5 and I'm going to bring it every week. Every week I'm going to bring the same 4.5. Who the fuck makes these rules? Mate, this is rubbish. It's worse than Queensland's lockdown rules. We're just fucking making it up as we go. You can't. No, listen, I'm having a serious... Belinda, we got someone who's completely independent here. We drank the same wine last week.
Where's the Jeff? Where's the bloody Jeff?
Who's voting? I don't know how this works.
No, there's an app called Vivino, which we get the scores off, right? And whoever gets the highest score wins. So Chris, because he got punished last week, had to buy us all a bottle of wine. So he bought us all a 4.3. We drank it on the very same podcast last week. Chris even introduced the fucking wine. And now he's claiming it as his wine. You can't do that.
Okay,
you have written in the rules.
Explain the rules. Let's have a look at what our audience is going to say. Let's see. If they say who, can you just write down very quickly? Is it Cam who's won or is it Chris? We need to know so we can make it impartially. And Belinda,
can't have the same wine 2 weeks in a row. That's ridiculous.
Who has he broken the rule? Should Chris win or should Cam win? All right, Crystal. I won't tell you her surname. All right, I only tell you the initial, but it's Crystal Wilson, who said that absolutely no way that can't win. All right, Chat Night just said, just get all the team to vote. Crystal says Ken. All right, Crystal just said Ken. So we have one for Ken. Belinda, who do you think has won?
I think the Moscato one.
No.
You're not going to be able to do it if you don't pick a side.
Chris wins.
How can Chris win? It's the same wine as last week.
I love Ellie goes, Cam, so I can keep my job.
2 for Cam. I don't care how I get them, baby.
So there's 2 for Cam so far. What do you reckon, Belinda? Come on, hurry up because it's keep on coming.
Oh, you can't ask Linda. She's going to hate me for what I said earlier.
Who are you voting for?
Ellie's only voting so she can keep a job.
Mate, you used the same one as last week. You didn't even try. There was no effort whatsoever. No effort.
6 weeks later.
No effort whatsoever.
There was a lot of effort.
What, mate?
4.2 last weekend, so I didn't waste my 4.2
Didn't even try.
this weekend.
Didn't even try. Which goes to the integrity of the whole game, mate. We're there to do our best.
But one may say that because of his punishment, he sent us a 4.3 bottle and he drank it with us. And
I did the same thing, but I didn't use it to fucking win points, did I?
Okay, Eleni says it's Chris.
You're a goose, Eleni. Get off the page. Didn't we already bar you? You were already barred. That's a Moscato drinker saying that Chris won.
You didn't say much, Belinda. What's going on?
It's 2-2. Hey, Chad.
All right,
Chad Knight, remember who your business partner is.
Chad Knight said everyone should vote. Chad Knight's on the fence. Man, Chad Knight's always
that's where Belinda gets it from.
That should vote Moscato.
Doesn't even get your kids in to vote for you. How desperate are you?
I learned it from you, Chris. This is ridiculous. If last week's wine wins this week, there's a problem.
Listen, Crystal just got your daughter, who's 2, and your son, who's 3, to vote for that. I mean, that can't be, all right? So that's wrong.
Yeah, why can't that be? Oh, but we can run secondhand wine.
Crystal, we can't have children involved in such a highly adult place here, right? This is coming second to Tinder.
Hoang, you haven't had a vote yet.
Right, I 4.33, brother. So
yeah, but you haven't voted. Who wins? Mate, you're the one who makes the worst rules ever. You just invent the rules all of a sudden, and you're letting this slide.
One of you going to say that's wrong. That's why I took myself out to make
You're a pussy. You're a pussy.
And listen, the person that I was competing against this week was Megan, and she's gone.
Yes, it is you, man.
Hey?
So who else has voted? Hold on. So are we 2-2, is it?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm waiting for one more vote. Once I get that vote.
Where's the Jeff? He loves me.
Okay, let's go to Jeff.
You're gone, mate. If it's the Jeff, you're gone.
No, I'm going to go to Jeff. Bloody, where's Jeff? Where's the Jeff?
Belinda, what are you even thinking? The same wine as last week. The idea is we bring a different wine every week. That was the whole premise. The whole premise.
We've got the judge on the line.
That's all right. We're going to get the Jeff.
Adjudicates. And she said last week was no competition.
Hey, hi, good evening. How you doing, Jeff?
Yeah, we got Jeff.
Very good.
All right, listen.
I couldn't join.
Yeah, well, you made it. It was such a heated debate. We didn't want to do this, but we have an issue right now with the wine. So I just want to pass you on to Cam and Chris because they're going to have to explain. Did you hear about the point, or do you need it to be repeated?
I've just picked it up in the last 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, so you heard it. So can you just pick a winning wine between Chris and Cam this week?
Well, I admit, this is really bad, but I love the wine that Chris drinks, but it is twice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Controversial.
That's really bad. That's really bad, Chris.
So just to be clear, who are you going for, Jeff? Who won?
Go for the Cam.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Fuck you, Danola! Fuck you! Can't have the same wine twice, Jeff. You're an absolute legend. I take back everything I've ever said about you.
Until next week.
Moscato? Really?
Yeah.
What is that?
He said Moscato, really?
Yeah, beautiful. Especially on a 30-degree day. Perfect.
So just to be clear, Thomas won, Cam came second, Danola, you lost, and next week you're on the chopping block.
What do you mean? I lost? I owe you a bottle, mate.
Yeah, he lost a lot now.
You're gone again. Well, maybe you can buy us the same bottle.
Mate.
Maybe buy us the same bottle, Chris.
I wasn't here to compete. So
Get us the same bottle, mate.
You know what?
Oh, that's one for the big dog. I'm taking that.
Next bottle delivery is a $10 Dan Murphy special.
Listen, I told you, if there's one thing about the Jet, he's always impartial. You see it?
Didn't believe it until just then.
Look how fucking happy he is. Look how happy he is. Look like he just won the lottery.
Oh,
Look at him.
you don't understand. I turn up every week and have you people just tread me into the ground and you just stomp on my soul. But every now and again, the little fella gets when every now and again a cat walks across in front of you and you just got to give it a pat.
Little fella.
Every now and again, you just got to pat the cat that walks across in front of you and remember life's not that bad. Oh, that's sensational.
Anyway, it's been great having Belinda with us. I get it for her first time with us. It's good because seriously, we seasoned warriors. I mean, we salespeople who actually get onto a podcast and try and do certain things. Yeah. And for your first time, I think it's not bad, isn't it? Is it a yes for us, guys? She's good because
I'm halfway, like all her opinions.
Yeah. I get it. So thank you so much for this week. We're going to have to talk about next week. So, have you thought already about subject? Maybe one of you got a subject already.
Listen, I've had a couple of requests during the week, and it's just funny because none of the people know each other, but I've had multiple requests for the talk of voluntary euthanasia.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Voluntary euthanasia.
So you got our new premier who's dead against it, wherever the rest of the country seems to be going for it. And I've had couple of private messages and a couple of conversations, and it must be a coincidence, but it's come up. So
I don't know what's wrong with the young people in China.
They're volunteering. You get it?
Oh, well, listen, I have no problem with seppuku. I mean, the Japanese kamikaze and all these kind of guys. So, all right, we can have a look, but maybe we'll see. Maybe our audience can tell us voluntary euthanasia.
Well, that was Marie Trigg requested that. Wendy Wilson requested that. We've had a couple of requests. So.
All right. We'll see how our Facebook is going to go. If it goes off on that, well, then we will go for that. All right. Until then, thank you so much, people. It was just amazing. Chris, I'm very sorry you lost another bottle. Talk soon. Welcome, Belinda. Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.